Welcome to Week 10 Fantasy Football Pregame Show. I'm your host, Ben. With me, as always, is Matt. Matt, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. How about you?
I'm holding up. I'm just watching a little bit of the Masters, getting ready to do some fantasy football. A lot of players out today. They've been announced pretty much all week. The big news from today, TJ Hawkinson is going to be active. Anybody else you can think of, Matt, that is a surprise active or a questionable who is now active?
For active players, no. Like you said, the only other player that maybe was going to be used later on today is Matt Breida. It sounds like he will not be going.
So no Matt Breida. Not that was a good start anyways, but let's get to the weather.
Okay. We have a couple of games to keep our eye on here for weather purposes. High winds going on in the Green Bay-Jacksonville game. The Houston-Cleveland game also will be affected by wind and possibly some rain there, and also the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals. Wind, rain, not ideal passing conditions in any of those games coming up here.
Any chance you're going to sit Devontae Adams in any league because of the weather?
No.
Okay.
No, that win sounds pretty similar to what was going on when they played the Vikings there a couple weeks ago, and he still had 3 touchdowns and 7 catches.
He didn't have a lot of yards, though. Like, he was fortunate to get the game that he did, because I think he had like 27 yards or something, very low.
Well, it was about 60, but yeah, no, I'm not benching him. He is safe. The running backs are obviously going to be bumped up a little bit. You're going to take a bump down for the guys like any other receiver in that game in particular, like DJ Chark.
So DJ Chark currently ranked by us on BlueDuckFantasy.com around exactly at 21. We both have him at 21. How far down would you drop him? About 5 spots?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 spots. I mean, he's going to be very borderline starting 2 wide receiver leagues.
All right, so you'd rather have Devontae Parker than him?
Yeah, I would say so with this news here, yeah.
And somebody like Brandon Cooks is not somebody you want over him because he's also taken a drop because of the weather today in the Cleveland game. So Brandon Cooks is going to fall from about the 30th spot to about 35. So he's somebody who's falling out of your lineup. You mentioned earlier today that your DFS, you've taken him out and put in Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I just didn't he isn't really like the long throw guy anyway. Like that's kind of Will Fuller's role in that offense anyway. But so he is lining up a little bit more in the slot, but it just wasn't something where I wanted to take a chance on that. So
fair enough.
That Buffalo game is going to be very high scoring, so I just grabbed a piece of that.
Yeah, definitely going to be the highest scoring game of the day. I talked about it in the post yesterday on the site, BlueDuckFantasy.com. If you're playing contrarian, it's the game where you want to avoid, but I don't really think you can avoid that. It's probably going to be high 30s for each team, and it's not going to be a blowout either way. But let's talk about the most important thing that we are going to talk about today, and that's me winning our bet. Gus Edwards out-touching Jonathan Taylor in Week 9. Let's talk about the Colts running backs. Who's the Colts running back to own?
I still think it is Taylor. I don't know. Those guys.
I don't think it's Taylor, only hoping that he's going to eventually get the touches. I don't think any of them are startable at this point. We saw Nyheim Hines have the big game on Thursday. Wilkins was, 2 weeks ago? They kind of just had to abandon a bit of the run. Did Nyheim Hines have 2 touchdowns in Week 9 as well?
The thing is with that bet there, Taylor did fumble early in the game. That's why he was taken away.
But he didn't fumble on Thursday, and he still wasn't a big part of the offense.
No, but he was being used pretty frequently in Week 9 there. I feel like I would have won that bet if he didn't fumble there.
I don't even think it was close. I think it was like 15 to 9.
Because he came out of the game in the second quarter.
Excuses. Again, remember, guys, I won the bet, so make sure you listen to me if we have another bet today. Matt, question for you as we keep talking about the teams that played on Thursday. Did you stash future star Michael Pittman, as I told everyone to do on this week's waiver wire post on BlueDuckFantasy.com?
I do not have any shares of Michael Pittman, no.
What a game he had. He is going to be somebody who, probably not this year, but in future years, so if you're playing in some type of a keeper league or a contract league, pretty nice to get him, especially if you get him for $1. Let's talk about A.J. Brown, a bit of a disappointment on Thursday. He's been hit and miss this season. Where do you rank him among wide receivers rest of season?
I would still have him hovering in top 12.
Top 12?
Yeah. I'd say like that's just kind of be in around like Robert Woods and, Adam Thielen range, that kind of range. I would still start him over Thielen. Likely Woods in standard for sure.
Okay, so you still have him in the top 12. You're not worried about the fact that sometimes they throw a lot and sometimes they don't. And Tannehill can be a little bit hit and miss himself.
Yeah, it's different play calling there. They're not throwing a bunch. Like I think 2 weeks ago when he had that 100-yard game, he caught 4 balls, and Tannehill threw I think he had 12 completions or something like that.
But we saw this from him last year as well. Like he breaks a lot of big ones. He had a 20+ yard per catch average last season, which we knew wasn't going to continue this year, but we assumed he'd get more targets. The targets really just haven't been more than they were last year. So compared to last year, do you like him more or less, like rest of the season, not dynasty terms, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, at this point last year, he was just going off every week. So I like more at that point. But I still have really high hopes for him. Like I'm not giving up on him in any sort of keeper format.
What about in a redraft? Like if you still haven't had your trade deadline, is he somebody that you would look to trade for another wide receiver? Say if somebody you think is going to be high on them, would you rather have one of the Tampa Bay guys or him?
No, I'd keep him over the Tampa Bay guys. I think
that's trade him for Keenan Allen in a half PPR league.
I think I'd take Keenan there.
What about standard?
I'd still take Keenan.
Okay, so I'll give you the best A.J. Brown comparable for hit and miss games, and that's Allen Robinson. Who would you rather have rest of the season?
I think I would take Robinson.
I would as well.
Close.
Let's move on to one of the questions we've been asked a lot. I had somebody asking if they should start Darrell Henderson or this man right here, Nick Chubb, today. I thought it was a pretty easy decision to go with Chubb.
Yeah.
What are your expectations from him today now that we know that there's going to be a lot of wind? He should get a lot of carries.
Yeah, for sure. I like both of these Cleveland backs today, a lot. Like they're both top 10 plays for me.
Yeah, I agree.
He should be getting probably about 15 to 20 carries, I bet. Kareem Hunt's going to be in that same range as well. Hunt's still more the receiving guy, so any passing they might go towards him. But no reason to bench Nick Chubb today.
Absolutely not. There's no reason you shouldn't be starting him. There are very few running backs that we have ahead of him. Like you said, he's in our top 10 this week for a start in PPR and in standard. Obviously, he's better in standard, but he's still fine in PPR. Another returning player, Miles Sanders, is also a fine start today against the Giants. There's kind of a limit on how good these running backs are, because after you get by the Nick Chubb into the, after the top 10, you hit a dip. You got Leonard Fournette. You're hoping that he's going to be a good start today. We both have him in DFS, but there's also Ronald Jones there, right? So Melvin Gordon, same thing with with Lindsey. Antonio Gibson has J.D. McKissick to deal with since Alex Smith can't really throw the ball downfield or chooses not to. But they're definitely must starts this week. Players that aren't must start, but Matt, I'm going to get you to fill in the blank on this one. The Bears running backs this week are
are not startable if you can. If I was going to pick one, I would pick Patterson, to be honest.
I would also pick Patterson. Ryan Nall, more like Ryan Nah. All right, guys, relax. It wasn't that
funny. How long are you setting that up?
What are you talking about? That was just the audience. Lamar Miller probably going to be activated. Again, somebody you don't want to touch, but if you'd have to be really desperate to start any of these Bears running backs. But Patterson is the one that I would start above the rest of them.
Yeah, I had to pick up Patterson to start him in one of my leagues. I mean, at a wide receiver spot at least. But
well, he does have both designations. I was looking at possibly picking him up in one league to fill a running back spot that I didn't have, but I decided I don't care. Yeah. The Seattle backfield. Chris Carson out. Carlos Hyde out. Who do you like today? Here are the stat lines from last week. DJ Dallas, 7 carries, 31 yards, not bad, 1 touchdown, and 2 receptions for 8 yards. Travis Homer, 6 rushing attempts for 16 yards, and 3 receptions for 64 yards. Collins, 2 for 5. Who do you like best this week, and by how much?
I'm still going to stick with DJ Dallas, but not by a lot over Homer. Because Dallas seems to be getting the guy near the goal line that they trust. That's about it.
Bad run defense in Buffalo. They should be able to run the ball if
they're playing the Rams, so.
try to. What'd you say?
I said they're playing the Rams, so Buffalo has nothing to do with them.
Oh, sorry. That was last week. Yeah, playing the Rams, which is a tough defense. So, again, this is a chance to avoid both of them. They're desperation plays, but they are ahead of all the Bears guys, right? You'd start either of those guys above Cordell Patterson?
I'd definitely start Dallas ahead of them. Homer would be really close, but I've got Homer and Patterson in one league going.
Homer and Patterson. Wow. What do you have in that league?
With my decimated bench.
All right, let's get to the rankings fight after that terrible news that you just shared about how bad your team is.
Remember my bench in that league?
Yeah, they were all on bye or injured.
Yeah, terrible.
So first up in our rankings fight, we're going to be talking about Tua Tagovailoa, who I have ranked 10th. Matt, you have him at 16. You're not ready to start him yet. He's still not – he hasn't proved it to you yet?
Yeah, his first start against the bad Cardinals defense was a lot better, of course, which we expected. He's moved into kind of a middle of the pack. He was – I need to see it again before I'm willing to really throw him out there in a single QB league. Okay,
so the Cardinals defense is ranked 16th against quarterbacks. The Rams is ranked number 2 against quarterbacks. Does that not play into the fact that – and again, they didn't need him to be good because the defense won the game for them.
Yeah.
So they didn't need him to do much. It's a tough defense. They got big names on that defense, and they're starting to play well. So I'm fine with them. I have him starting over our next guy, Joe Burrow, playing in the win, playing against Pittsburgh.
Right.
Matt, you have him ranked 11th. I have him 17th. And this was before the wind. I would probably move him down a spot or two now.
I also would move him down a few spots with the news of this weather today.
Would you start Tua over Joe Burrow?
At this point, yes.
Okay. That's all I want to hear. Let's talk about Cam Newton. A little bit of a bounce back last week, although that was too close for the Jets. I don't know. I am ranked 14th. I always think he's an okay start. He has a high floor. You, on the other hand, think that going up against Baltimore, which is 8th ranked against quarterbacks, is going to kill him and have him ranked 23rd.
Yeah, he's not a start anymore. He got saved at the end of the last game. He was not looking like a start at all against the Jets for 2.5 quarters of that game.
I thought he looked all right. He didn't run a lot. I thought he was going to run more, but
yeah, if he doesn't run, there's nothing there for him.
I expect him to have to run against Baltimore today.
Yeah, he might, but the Baltimore D, I would not start him. No, I'd start him below Burrow still, and
that's fair. I'm not opposed to that train of thought there, but let's talk about the Cardinals running backs. Do we have news on Kenyon Drake? Is he going to play?
It does sound like Kenyon Drake will play. I would still expect him to take the back seat in this share today anyway.
You would expect Drake to take the back seat, not Edmonds. Correct?
Right. Yeah, I think Edmonds is still the running back you want to own in this backfield.
Rest of the season or just today?
I think rest of the season, honestly.
Really? I don't think Edmonds has been that good when Drake's been out.
Yeah, but Drake hasn't been that good when Drake's been in either.
Sure. So let's just play Benjamin and see what can happen.
I think Edmonds is still the guy I want between the two. Not great either way, but
I think we're looking at a running back by committee going forward here. Like it was a little bit before, but it was fairly Drake. But I think it's going to be closer to 50-50 now, and it's not one that I'm overly interested in owning.
I think today Edmonds is still the guy. I think they'll bring Drake back slow.
I think if they're going to bring him back, he's going to get touches. I don't think they even said he's a game-time decision. So if he's going to play, he's going to play. And if he's not going to play, then he's not going to play. I don't think there's any slow about this. But we'll move on to wide receivers as that was our only running back. Terry McLaurin, Matt, you have him ranked in the top 10 at Detroit in the Dome. I have him at 20. I am worried about Alex Smith not throwing downfield and simply dumping off to J.D. McKissick 40 times a game. Are you not worried about that?
A little bit, but I think Terry's not just a one-trick pony. He can do the shorter routes. He's playing the Lions D. He's not good. There's no weather concerns there. It's a good matchup for him. I think Alex Smith still has something left in the tank. give him. He hasn't. He didn't know he was going to play last week. I think they'll be a little bit more prepared this week with a good game plan. I'd still run out Terry. No issues.
Okay, I do have issues, but I would start him over DJ Chark, a player that we talked about because of the wind. Randy Macho Man Savage is here. Hello, gentlemen. You both look tremendous today. Wow, I love the Macho Man. He's way better than Hogan or Ricky Steamboat. As we continue with this, we have Antonio Brown, a player that, Matt, you are just done with. It's over. You gave him 1 week, and now you're like, goodbye. You have him 37th.
Yeah, that's about right for Antonio Brown.
I have him 22nd. I still believe. He had a lot of snaps last week. Last week was a terrible game for everyone.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening again. I don't think that the 5-hour flight delay is going to play a factor. I know you think it might, which is odd. I think they're just sitting on a plane chilling. So, I mean, it's not like a regular flight. It's a nice plane.
Yeah, that didn't even really factor into that. I think it might play in factor in today's game, but he's still going to be number 3 wide receiver on that team. I didn't see anything that says he's above Evans or Godwin. It's just
he's not above them, but I think they're going to use him a lot. A lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Bruce Arians, high octane offense, and I'm fine rolling him out in 2 or 3 wide receiver sets. Got a question from Jay here. Fuller, Rojo, Henderson Jr. at flex. Does Henderson Jr. move above Fuller because of the wind? I would think so.
It's tight.
It's not Rojo. We can get rid of Rojo.
No, it's not Rojo for sure. And Henderson, you just don't trust because they have Malcolm Brown and Akers there too.
Akers hasn't really done anything though.
No, for sure. But they could still try to get him going. And Henderson was banged up. I mean, he's playing. We know that, but I'm leaning Fuller there. I don't know if I'm willing. If this is PPR, it's Fuller. Standard, I'd lean maybe towards Henderson.
There you go. There's your answer. That's a fair answer right there. Bars in the tuck. Morning, y'all. I was able to flip AB and Chark for DK. Wow. Now I need a flex. Fulham, Fournette, DJ Dallas, standard scoring. Thanks. It's going to be Fournette for me.
Yeah, Fournette, even with the plane delay. Yeah.
Let's talk about Fulham. And we have Rager, who came back last week. We have Alshon Jeffrey coming back this week. Is Fulham over? Is it done? You still have him higher than both.
Yeah, I think he's still the consistent one. I want to see it from Rager first. I think Rager's got the potential. As you know, I've stacked him in DFS. So it could be his day today. Hopefully it is. But Fulham, I'm not done with him because I think that he's likely going to be a better option than Alshon and Djax whenever he comes back. If he does.
Well, better than Djax, sure. But here's the stat line for you. Fulham in the 3 games prior to last week had 13, 10, and 11 targets. Last week with Rager back, he had 7. Now Jeffrey comes back. I assume that number goes down again. They were trying to force the ball to Rager on, was it against the last game they played before the bye against the Giants? Is that right?
We're playing the Giants today. I can't remember who Philly played that game, but when Rager came back, yeah, they definitely wanted to get him more involved for sure.
So you still believe Fulham this week at least is the number 1 wide receiver for the Eagles?
I think I think so this week.
I think he's 3, and I'm not trusting him in any league. Kellen Hollahan, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much. Make sure to hit that like button. Josh Allen or Lamar? I think it's Josh Allen. It's really close.
Yeah, it's Josh Allen. That game's got high scoring written all over it. Lamar's definitely not a bad option as well, but Josh Allen. I've got Josh Allen ahead. You've got Lamar in 1 spot.
Yeah, by 1. But yeah, they're both great options. I think this might be the Lamar week where he has his breakout. That's why I've ranked him a bit higher. But I have Josh Allen in DFS, so I really like Josh Allen. Josh Allen, the safer play. Randy Savage has 2 questions. What's your ale of choice, and does Russell Wilson put on a light show today? Matt, your ale of choice?
I guess Coke with a little bit of rum in it.
That's not even an ale. No. I will go with.
I think that is alcoholic choice of.
I will go with Coors Original. That's what it's called now. It used to be Banquet.
There you go.
And does Russell Wilson put on a light show today? I'm a believer that that defense might stifle him a bit.
Yeah, he might get. He's not going to put up a light show, but he'll be very okay for you for in fantasy purposes. He's still going to do his normal 2 to 3 touchdowns, decent amount of yards. He'll be good. He'll be fine.
Got a question here from Instagram. The person asked, got 3 RBs. Got 3 RBs. Edmonds, Bernard, and Balaj need to sit Balaj.
Edmonds, yeah. That's my thinking there.
I think that's a pretty easy decision. Moving on to more comments. We got Dr. Clutch is back. He needs 3. So he's got to sit 1. Judy, Fulham, Higgins, or Claypool. Is that T. Higgins? And I still think it's Fulham. I think the sit is Fulham. Matt, your thoughts?
I like the first 3. Like the Higgins and Claypool playing in that wind later. I don't really know how that's going to go. But
yeah, you do have Claypool at 43 while I have him at 26. But in fairness, I rank all 3 of the Pittsburgh wide receivers back to back to back because any of them could do well. But he had 13 targets last week, Claypool. So yeah, he's still a thing.
He is. That offense is so unpredictable. Like it's kind of a risk. I mean, like if I'm starting the other 2 Steeler wide receivers before Claypool still every week.
Yeah, same.
But Judy and Fulham for me, and I'm gonna say Claypool. I
would go with Higgins over Claypool.
Maybe, yeah.
I have Claypool ranked higher by 2 spots.
But again, check that weather. I mean, both those guys in the same game, obviously. So
Claypool does do a lot of end arounds, so he might get some yardage there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm off the Fulham. I think Fulham has 4 for 50 today, max.
It's not bad.
I need someone to step in with a stiff rod for my flex this week. McKinnon, Harris, or Lindsay. That's Jerick McKinnon. He is going to be – they even said they're going to just pump him full of targets.
That's McKinnon, but if you believe Kyle Shanahan.
I do. I think he has an honest face, so I believe him.
I still think it's him regardless of whether or not you believe it, but
yeah, it's McKinnon. D-Hop or Thielen? D-Hop?
Yeah, D-Hop, 100%.
Are you actually sitting Thielen? What type of wide receivers do you have where you get to sit Thielen? Congratulations on your team, Kellen. Dustin Holland asks, flex Melvin Gordon or, man over here, Zach Moss?
I'm going Melvin Gordon.
I'm also going Melvin Gordon. I think that's a better matchup.
Yeah.
And I just think Melvin Gordon's better. All right, back to this. We're going to talk about Marvin Jones. Matt, where would you rank Marvin Jones? Yeah, I'm at 36, but I think maybe you were having a little bit too much ale when you ranked him at 36. Playing Washington.
What's wrong with Marvin Jones at 36?
It's pretty low. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Should continue today with Kenny Golladay out. TJ Hawkinson banged up.
He barely did anything last week. If he didn't get that touchdown, he didn't barely
did anything the week before, but he got 2 touchdowns. He's a touchdown machine. That's what he does.
Washington D ranked 2 against wide receivers.
I don't care. I mean, name one person on the Washington defense who plays in the secondary. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Darryl Green?
What?
Darryl Green.
Darryl Green has been retired for about 2 decades.
Yes.
I'm
just going with the numbers, man. I don't know why, but I can't think of any of their corners right now.
All right, let's talk about someone who is absolute trash, but you think is 28th overall wide receiver, and his name is Marquise Brown.
Okay.
He has 100-yard game this season in week 1. He has 2 touchdowns all season. That's 8 weeks, 2 touchdowns. He has 3 games where he had over 57 receiving yards, and that includes the 100. Why is this guy in 28th spot when he's ranked as the 43rd wide receiver in PPR? Explain yourself.
You always gotta hope for that big game from Hollywood Brown. I mean, if
you always gotta hope
LJ's gonna do well, then he's got to throw to somebody.
Yeah, Mark Andrews, Willie Snead.
Mark Andrews hasn't been good.
Mark Andrews hasn't been good. Lamar Jackson hasn't been good.
No. So Marquise Brown is outside of top 2 wide receivers in 12-team leagues.
But you're still considering starting him in a flex spot, or if you have bad wide receivers on bye.
I just think that Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of decent wide receivers on bye this week too. But I think that he's an okay play. You're definitely banking on upside there, but he's not a bad play.
Here's somebody I would start over him, somebody who I've been shitting on all stream, Travis Fulgham, who I think is the number 3 wide receiver in Philly and is probably going to see 4 for 50 today, and I'll take that.
It's a more of a floor for sure.
Yeah. Last guy on the list before we get to the questions is Tyler Higbee. Matt, easy start for you at number 8. I am at 14. So in week 2, he had 5 for 54 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's had 1 game all season with more yards than that, and it was 58. And he has a high of 5 catches and doesn't have touchdowns in any other games. Why is this guy ranked 8th for you?
Let's see, because, okay, I was going to say I don't know why I have him above Goddard. But okay, so I'll move him to 9 there. But I'm looking at the rest of the guys, Jared Cook, Gronk, Tunyon, Hooper, Gesicki. Are you starting any of those guys above Higbee?
Gesicki, I like. He had good chemistry with Tua last week, and he's starting to get more snap counts. It's no longer a trifecta there, whereas Higbee is going to be basically splitting with Everett at this point. Hooper, maybe not, but Jimmy Graham. Give me Jimmy Graham.
No, don't give you Jimmy Graham. I'll give you Jimmy Graham. You can have him.
You know what? I would also probably start at this point Kyle Rudolph, because he's going to get more targets today with Irv Smith, or Monday, whenever they play, with Irv Smith out.
Tomorrow.
So he's somebody that I would look to.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for the rankings fight. As usual, I win. Let's move on to the questions here. We have Thielen or McLaurin. To me, that's Thielen pretty easily, but you are really high on McLaurin this week. Yeah. Do you have him above Thielen?
I do. But that, I mean, you can't go wrong either way in that. I mean, you're worried about Alex Smith, and he's not much worse than Kirk Cousins. So,
wow,
he's not.
The Macho Man says Marvin Jones Jr. woke up feeling very dangerous today. I believe he did. Derek Riel says, morning, gents. Is Drake playing today? Do I start him over Edmonds? Matt believes that Edmonds is the start, and I don't disagree that he's the start over Drake. But if you have a better option than Edmonds, because I see this as being a split. If Drake plays, we don't know because it's an afternoon game, so we won't know for a while.
From what I understand, he's expected to go, though.
What's that?
From what I understand, he is expected to be playing.
I saw game time decision. So if you have somebody in the PM window, then I would be okay with sticking with Edmonds and seeing if Drake plays. But if you don't, you have to start somebody now. Make sure you just give us a list of players and we can make that choice for you. Dustin Holland said Marvin Jones or Jarvis Landry. That's still going to be Jarvis Landry for me. I don't care about the win for Landry.
Yeah, it's a lot closer because of that win, but I would still say Landry.
And a reminder, Matt has Marvin Jones at 36. So Stroke My Eagle says flex in the other league. Rod doesn't need to be as stiff. Okay. Dobbins, the second Mark Ingram or Tim Patrick? This is the second Mark Ingram Gus Edwards? Or is it actually Mark Ingram? Oh, Mark Ingram the second. I get it now. Dobbins.
Yeah, it's Dobbins.
I don't think they go back too much to Mark Ingram.
No, it's going to be the other two, I think.
Yeah, if anything, he'll take like a little bit, but I still think that those two will lead. Derek Rial says, Ayuk or Kirk in full PPR. I like Ayuk.
I'd go Ayuk, but I'm definitely not opposed to Kirk.
No, Kirk is definitely a decent play. Just don't have him quite as high as Ayuk, as he's basically, again, we're not buying the Richie James stuff. So, Macho Man, is this the best morning of the year? Master Sunday and Blue Duck Fantasy. I mean, we can make it better. We can make it better in a bit. We'll make it better. But thank you so much, Macho Man Randy Savage. Next thing we're going to talk about, Matt, is we already did the Eagles. Is this the most injury-riddled year ever?
It really seems like it.
Yeah.
Like I think no training camp is now taking it's playing a factor. It has to.
Virtual training camp.
Yeah, like I mean, there's no other way to explain it. Like it's just been bad, like injuries after injuries. And
let's talk about what season it is, Matt, and it's cuffing season. You know, it's that time of year, getting into the fall, deep into the fall, almost into the winter. It's time to start cuffing your studs. So I'm going to list off some players. If they are available on your waiver wire and you have the lead back, you need to start picking these guys up. Most of these people are by their buys. And some of these guys were probably already picked up because of injuries, but let's go. In no particular order, except number one is Alexander Matheson. Should not be on any waiver wire. Whether you own Cook or not, you should have him. Number two, again, in no particular order, Tony Pollard. If you own Zeke, even if you don't, that offense looked a lot better on last week with Garrett Gilbert at quarterback. Jamal Williams, somebody who was great when Jones was out. You got to get this guy up. Latavius Murray, another one who might have a big game today. Benny Snell, I know he hasn't been touching the ball a lot, but James Conner is injury prone, so you got to get Benny Snell. Someone who's obviously on most teams right now is Mike Davis. Chris McCaffrey was back for one game, and now Mike Davis is in again. Gio Bernard playing today. Duke Johnson. I keep messing that up. Playing today as well. And one that you might not think of, Matt, but Brian Hill in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't mind that one.
Any ones I missed?
Maybe Boston Scott.
Boston Scott, another decent one. And obviously guys like Philip Lindsay are going to be on team, right? So, and a Kareem Hunt is obviously on a team. But, like, who are you holding instead of these players? Like, are you holding out hope that, Jalen Reagor is going to be a thing? Are you that hurt at wide receiver that you need Jalen Reagor to become A.J. Brown from last year all of a sudden or finish the year hard like Debo did? Or do you have LaMichael Pirine and you're simply hoping that, hey, let's see what he can do? Guess what? He's not going to do as well as one of these running backs if the lead running back gets injured. So it's time to put aside I hope this turns into something, guys, and simply go with these handcuffs. We got some questions. Derek Riel, Deontay Johnson over Edmonds with that wind.
I would still go Edmonds.
I would still go Edmonds as well because of the wind. With no wind, I would go with Deontay Johnson. So, Matt, your thoughts on cuffing season?
Oh, yeah, that was it. I don't disagree a whole bunch with the guys that you had mentioned there. There's a couple leagues where I actually own a couple of those lead backs. And I don't have Pollard in the league. I have Zeke. I just don't have room for him right now.
Well, you got to this is the perfect example. You got to make room. You got to drop one of your guys. As you get through the buys here, you got to pick him up next week.
He's not available
through the buy, and you got to have him. Got a comment here from Instagram.
He's not available, but
okay. In the flex spot, Myers, Samuel, or Ayuk? Ayuk?
Yeah.
Myers would be last. I don't trust him.
Are we believing that?
What's that?
Is Jacoby Myers really a thing?
No.
Is that?
Question from Antonio Monteforte. Full PPR, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, or Shepard? Thank you. I will go with Sterling Shepard because of the wind. Marquise Brown sucks like Baker. Matt?
I'm trying to decide how much that wind is going to play a factor there. Because right now I have Deontay highest.
As do I. I have Marquise Brown lowest. But because of the wind, I'll take the high floor Shepard, who
I guess for me that's more like, what do you need? Do you need the high floor, or do you want the highest ceiling guys? High floor, you go Sterling. The other two both have high ceilings, but Marquise has the higher ceiling today.
I have Shepard ranked at 29. Matt has him ranked 33rd in PPR scoring. Of course, with some guys like Brandon Cooks being in the wind, Deontay Johnson, who was ranked higher in the wind, he would move ahead of those guys in PPR as they drop down. Derek Riel asks, does Gallman crank the motor more than Zach Moss? That's actually really close. I got to check the rankings on that.
I like Zach Moss more.
I probably have Zach Moss as well, but Gallman is really coming to his own.
But they still like to use Alfred Morris and Deion Lewis.
I like Gallman a couple spots more. Matt, you were more clear on it. You're about 8 spots higher on Zach Moss than Gallman. But yeah. Both decent flexes.
It's that game is gonna be so high scoring. I can see them trying to maybe limit Kyler's time on the field. They might just try to run the ball down their throat.
All right, Matt. Let's talk about some 2020 disappointments or disappointment that you still believe in. Players that you're holding on to. Maybe this guy is one of them. I mean, he's not really droppable, but he hasn't really been.
I mean, I guess Hollywood Brown is one of those guys.
Yeah,
too.
obviously Hollywood Brown, who you absolutely love.
I don't. At 28, it's not really a love situation. Who else? Who's down here that I had some higher hopes for? Well, that we still believe in. That's the key part of this question, I guess.
One for me is Lev Bell, just because we talked about cuffing season, and if there's anything that's going to happen to CEH, it's going to be the Lev Bell show. So I'm holding him because of that upside for injury that he possesses. I'm not looking to start him in any leagues right now. He's been a huge disappointment in New York. He's been a huge disappointment in Kansas City. But he's basically a handcuff at this point. And I didn't list him on that list because he's most likely owned, just like some other big-name running backs are. But, yeah, I'm holding on to him because of that reason, and I will not drop him.
Yeah, and Jonathan Taylor, I think, falls into that category. Once
I'd agree.
Going out right away, like, big disappointment, but still holding out hope that he turns that around at some point this year.
I mean, he is the best running back on the Colts team. Got a question from H. Moobnica. Full PPR, Mike Williams or Brandon Cooks? Does that switch to Mike Williams now because of the wind?
I think it does, actually, yeah. I'm going
Mike Williams is the answer for H. Moobnica. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. It's a very unique word you have there. So, Matt, anybody else other than Brown and Taylor?
You still believe in. That's the part I'm struggling with. Not really, honestly. I guess I've got some hope still for Hunter Henry.
I mean, he hasn't been bad.
It's not been good. Not like we thought he'd be, at least.
No, but I mean, Evan Ingram's been worse, and people had him ranked higher, and people probably still believe in him.
Yeah.
I don't. I never have and never will. Well, maybe not never will, but I never have. There's too many mouths to feed there.
Yeah.
I think because of the tight end landscape, and the tight end landscape is really bad. Like, once you get past basically the first, like, your Kelsey, I mean, Andrews hasn't been good either, but he's still up there. After Waller and Kelsey, you're just like, okay, these next guys are in no particular order. Obviously, Andrews is third, and then it's like Fant, Hawkinson, Smith, Henry. Goddard might become a thing, but they're all kind of grouped together and way, way away from Darren Waller and way, way, way away from Travis Kelsey.
Right.
So,
Kelsey's definitely, like, he's in a class by himself.
Yeah, I would say Waller's even in, like, a second class by himself with Kittle out.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think it's as far away from the rest of the guys that the Kelsey is from him. But then after that, it's Andrews probably in a class by himself in third, and then the rest of the guys.
Hawk's getting up there, though, eh?
Yeah, Hawk is getting up there. I mean, Jonnu Smith has moments where he looks like he's getting up there, and then he just does what he does. And
then he just gets a rushing touchdown, and that's it.
Question here from Derek Riel. Ebron or Fant? Let's go Fant.
Fant, for sure, yeah.
Fant. Fun fact, I now am the owner of 2 signed Fant jerseys. Yay!
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about some Dynasty content for those who play Dynasty with us. Matt, who are some Dynasty trade targets? Now, again, I'm not saying that you're a completely out of it team and you're selling your best players for something good. I'm talking about you're in the middle of the pack. You like your team. Injuries may have crippled you this year. Who are some players that you have high upside for next year that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg? Like, who's somebody, maybe it was a rookie this year who hasn't performed as well as people expected that you were looking to pick up? I'll give you some time to think about that as we get to the comments. How many jerseys do I have? I have like 20 now. It might be closer to 25 because I do have some still on order that I have to pay for and ship. It's honestly too many. Like, I'm addicted to buying them at this point. It's a problem. There will be giveaways.
Oh,
because I also have 2 Andy Isabella jerseys now. I don't know.
Do co-hosts get to play for a giveaway?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But their chances to win are very limited. How many jerseys are in each of your personal collections? Personal faves. Personal faves. Like I said, 20 to 25. Personal. I like the way this Moore jersey looks. This Moss jersey is absolute garbage. There's like black outline around the number. You can't see it because it's far away, but it looks really weird on the side numbers.
Oh, yeah. How many jerseys do I own? I'm guessing we're just limiting that to football. I think I've got about 20, 21, 22 maybe.
22, yeah. I'm around 20 to 25 now.
Yeah, but mine are all the same team.
I like my David Montgomery, the orange jersey for the Bears. That's a jersey that I really like as well. I also have 2 DJ Chark jerseys, different colors. I do like both of those. They will be on the show, and we're going to get Matt to sing the DJ Chark song at some point.
My Devontae Adams jersey, I guess it's signed, so that's kind of cool about it.
Yeah, I actually like the Irv Smith jersey. I like the Vikings jersey. I also have the Stephon Diggs one, which has been packed away since doesn't play for them anymore. ISO only. Yo, what up, guys? I need to start 3 out of Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore, Ayuk, and Deontay Johnson full PPR. Sit Cooks.
Moore, Ayuk. Yeah, sit Cooks.
We are thinking sit Cooks. Deontay at flex, sure. I mean, if you have a running back option, feel free to post it. How do I decide which jerseys to buy? Price. I don't like spending too much on them. So these are all my jerseys are from Pristine Auction. And I don't like going over $40. And depending on the player, I'll put a value on like each player. Like I was looking at it. I like the Patriots jersey this year. I think that's a nice looking jersey, the blue one and the white one. And I was looking at N'Keal Harry one. But once it got over a certain amount, I'm just like, okay, he's not worth that much.
Yeah.
And if Keenan plays, would you play him over Rojo or Wayne Gallman? Over Rojo for sure. But Matt, would you play Kenyon Drake? I say Keenan, but I meant Kenyon.
I would play Gallman over Drake.
That's close, but yeah, I would play Wayne Gallman. I
just don't trust. I don't think Drake is going to have that big of a role today.
Okay. GMB Jeff 021. What's up, fellas? For my flex, who should I go with? DJ Dallas or Jalen Reagor? I would go with Jalen Reagor because I do not trust that Seattle backfield whatsoever. And it's a tough matchup for Seattle today. It's not like they're playing the Bills like last week where, hey, anybody can run over the Bills.
And they're gonna pump Reagor full of targets, I think.
Yeah, they force-fed him last game he played, so I like Reagor.
Come on, DFS stack. For this here, I like Brian Edwards.
Brian Edwards, good pick. What would you pay in terms of draft picks for Brian Edwards? He was probably a late second in 12-team leagues.
Yeah.
Would you give a second if you're a middle of the road team? So you're not going to be picking early. You're not going to be picking late. If you make the playoffs, you make the playoffs, but your team's ravaged by injuries and you're not looking to blow it up because you think next year will be your year. Would you give a second, or would you be looking to get it for a third?
I'd be looking to get him for a third. The guy with him really has to believe in him as well. I mean, otherwise, if you just took him because he heard some things in the offseason, he hasn't done anything this year. No,
and he's been injury, and he's had injury problems going back to college as well.
So there's him. We talked about it already a little bit, Michael Pittman.
Yeah, but coming off the big game, his price tag is probably going to be closer to a first now.
I was going to say that shit probably just sailed on you.
Yeah, unless you got him in your Yahoo league for $1 because nobody else read your article that you posted on Tuesday about who the future star would be and who they should pick up, and nobody decided to pick him up. Yeah.
In that league, I wouldn't have started him anyway.
I wouldn't have started him anyways, but it's a 2-year contract at least, and I got him for $1. We got a question from the Macho Man. Power rankings in AFC and NFC for each of you. Top 4. KC, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. Am I missing someone obvious? I guess Baltimore.
Baltimore? Yes.
That's not good for you. I'll let you do NFC then. Tampa Bay. Okay. Tampa Bay, number 1.
Tampa Bay. They need a quarterback.
They have a quarterback. He's had one bad game. He's not dead. One bad game. The same thing happened to your quarterback against the defense.
Let's go. Packers I like, obviously.
Yeah, Packers in the top 4.
Saints be in there. I'm trying to decide on Arizona, but Seattle will be in there.
Yeah.
And I guess Tampa. So.
GMB Jeff 021 and also Lamar Jackson or Herbert this week. You got to go Lamar.
Yeah, it's not as far away as you want that to be, but yeah.
Dirty Money asks, Lindsey or Jamal Williams? That's Philip Lindsay. Like, Jamal Williams isn't going to see a lot, even with the win. Like, he might have a bigger role than you would expect him to have on a regular day. But Philip Lindsay has a role, and he is about a 50-50 split with Gordon until he gets injured. For me, a guy who is Eno Benjamin. So Drake's is a one-year contract. Edmonds has only next year under contract. So Eno Benjamin is a dynasty target for me, and you could probably get him for a fourth. Like, he might even just be out there where you can grab him. I would find out for a third on him. Sorry, say?
I said I don't know if you get him for a fourth. Maybe. But if you're picking towards the end of the draft, like if you're a decent team.
You could also wait to the draft and try to trade the fourth at draft time, because people will buy picks for a much higher price on draft day than they would before. Especially fourth-round picks.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, there's a player that I still want. And everybody has like rookie fever. But yeah, I thought obviously the Edwards one is a good one. Obviously, I'm a huge Mims fan. Is there any dynasty targets that you would sell that have outplayed their value?
How about Justin Jefferson?
Has he? I mean, he hasn't done anything in like 5
years. I guess if we're talking like 3 weeks ago, this would be a really good one.
Yeah, I would have sold high on him. Again, like I said, I'm not a believer in him. I don't think he could be a number one wide receiver on a team. I think he has, we'll call it juju-itis, where you could be good when there's somebody else that's better, and you don't get jammed at the line by better or stronger corners.
And I'm still not 100% on Brandon Ayuk. I think if Debo was there all year and Kittle, we'd be having a different conversation about him.
Yeah, I think, that's a good sell high candidate, because he's going to have a very limited role once Debo's healthy, once Kittle's healthy. He probably went for, a second, possibly even a third. If you could sell him for a second right now, would you?
He's probably was a second, I'm going to say. I don't know if I'd sell him for a first, for sure.
Okay, so what about you get a first, but you give up your second? You do that?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Okay, no belief in Brandon Ayuk on this show whatsoever. First round pick, he's going to be a better football player than he is going to be a fantasy player. Got a question from the Macho Man. Where does Debo rank for you guys when healthy? Like 20, 25?
Yeah, about 25-ish, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Hasn't happened this year.
We both like him long term, but that offense, that team is just depleted this year. It is just. There's not much to like there. All right, so that'll do it for the dynasty trade targets that we were talking about. We were talking basically mostly about rookies. My guy who's not a rookie that I would still target is Paris Campbell, who was probably close to a first-round pick 2 years ago, hasn't been able to stay healthy, and again, that could be a problem. But you could probably get him for, a third?
Probably, yeah. I think so, because people are going to see, and then especially with that Pittman game, people are going to say, okay, Pittman's the guy to own. That's it.
Yeah, so you could be buying low on him. Another guy who you might not be able to buy low on after today is Mike Gesicki. Really like the talent. I believe in him. Matt doesn't believe in him, but I think he has a lot of connection with Tua, and I think if you're in a tight end premium league, he's somebody that you should be looking to go after. Or if you have an older tight end and are going to be needing a new one soon, like if you have Travis Kelce, I would give up to a second for him.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Gesicki, I don't mind the talent there. But it's just that they use all of their tight ends.
But do you think that's going to keep happening when you obviously know this guy is better than everybody else, and Tua looks to him and throws to him constantly?
It happened. It's already happened.
It happened with Fitzpatrick, but will it happen with Tua?
Well, I don't think the play calling will change that much, but we'll see. You missed a question there from GEMB Jeff.
Oh, my bad. If Lamar goes off, should I trade him and finish the season with Herbert? If you can get a decent return for him, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's all relative. What can you get for him?
Speaking of Justin Herbert,
okay enough for the rest of the year.
Would you trade Justin Herbert, or do you believe now?
Would I trade him?
In a 2-quarterback league, you're getting a first-round pick for him, if not more.
Well, it would really depend on the situation there, because if you need him for the rest of the year, no, I'm not trading him.
If your team is middle of the road, you got him probably for a second. You could probably get more than a first because of what he's done. Would you trade him for a first plus? Like two firsts?
You've got a couple of really good quarterbacks coming out of college this year, possibly.
2 firsts, for sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the league is going to figure him out. It's deep drops with a lot of play action. He doesn't have a lot of just like quick drops and short throws. So once teams figure that out, that he's doing 7-step drops, they're going to know how. And I can't believe they haven't figured it out because I figured it out. Randy Savage asks, where does Debo rank? Okay, I missed
Yeah,
that.
you got that one, yeah.
Bronco plays. Pick one standard: Gio Bernard, Wayne Gallman, Brandon Cooks, T. Higgins, or Fulham. It's one of the running backs.
Yeah.
Matt, which one is it for you? I think it's Gio.
I believe it's Gio. No, you know what? I think I've got Gallman actually ahead. Gio against the Steelers. I don't care for that. I would bump him a little bit because of the bad weather, so they're going to probably use him a little bit more than they were going to, but I would still go Gallman.
By one spot. I have Gio ahead of Gallman by 3. So I say Gio, Matt. You say it's really close, but you're leaning Gallman.
Yeah, it's super close.
Where does Kareem Hunt rank for you fine gents? Rest of season? Top 15?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Especially in PPR. I still think he's close to the top 10 in PPR still.
Yeah. Somewhere in the 10 to 15 range in both formats.
In standard, he's definitely lower. Like he's probably the 15 to 18 range once. I have him still high this week, but I think that might change next week once Chubb is full go.
Matt, do you have any start-sit decisions that you have to make other than your trash team where you are starting some garbage running backs?
No, not off the top of my head. No, I think I've made all my decisions here. You?
The only one I had was whether or not I should sit DJ Chark for Melvin Gordon, which you thought I should. So I'm going to let chat let me know if they think I should start Melvin Gordon. This is a standard league, or DJ Chark against none of the starting corners for the Packers, but a whole lot of wind.
Yeah, that is true. Green Bay's missing Jair Alexander and Kevin King. Josh Jackson's been actually really surprisingly really good this year, which is nice. But I mean that's kind of
so drop Alan Lazard for Jalen Reagor or Jacoby Myers full PPR. Probably for Reagor, but if you have Devontae Adams, I might not, just in case, because we talked about cuffing, and we don't do wide receiver cuffing a lot, but he was great when Devontae was out. But when is he coming back? Like he was expected to kind of maybe play last week, and he's not playing again this week. So it could be an injury that's going to linger for a lot longer than we think, and it might affect his performance. So I would go with Reagor, the guy you're going to force feed, not Myers. I wouldn't even pick up Myers unless you're desperate for a play this week. Matt?
Yeah. I think Reagor's got the higher ceiling for sure. So if you want the ceiling, I would go Reagor.
So it looks like the votes are in. And I will listen to chat, and I will go against Matt. So Matt loses another Matt versus chat, as it is 2-1. Melvin Gordon, welcome to the bench. DJ Chark, you're in. It's also important to note that I have Antonio Brown that I'm starting over Gordon. Brandon Cooks, Deontay, or Judy PPR. That is from TS.
Judy.
You think Judy?
Yeah. I
guess the wind, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Luck sucks so much, though. He's so bad. He's the new Blake Bortles. Drew Lock is the new Blake Bortles. I'm just looking at my rankings here. I want to see how low I have Judy. Do you have it up, Matt?
I can pull it up here.
You can also
got it at 32.
I'm 32.
Yeah.
I probably have the other guys like 20. Yeah.
I've got him at 30, but I'm still moving the other two behind him.
He is safer than Deontay. So if you want the higher floor, I would go with Judy, but it's very close. TS also has Fournette, Gio, Edmonds, pick 2. I would go with sit Edmonds.
I would sit Gio.
It is PPR.
Yeah, I would still sit Gio.
I would sit Edmonds. Randy the Macho Man says that Matthew Jenkins is my spiritual fantasy consultant. All right, good to know. Matt, who are you excited to see today other than the Bucs?
I mean, I'm interested in that. I'm actually excited for that Arizona-Buffalo game.
That should be a good game. Is it early or late? Since half the games are early and half of them are late.
Yeah, it's late. NFL purposely did that with the Masters. They wanted to get as many viewers on late as they could.
Yeah, but won't the Masters still be going at that time, or are they just playing it really early?
I mean, it's all you can do. I mean, the Masters, I think, will be over by half, roughly, in there.
I'm just looking at the games here. Who do you think you are? I am player of the week. Matt, you never answered that last week, so you're gonna have to answer it this
I
week.
picked AJ Brown last week, and he had 100 yards and a touchdown.
Who'd you pick?
AJ Brown.
Pick 2. Chart Judy Boyd standard. Sit Judy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for the comment, Ray Gamer. We should hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This is the only show we do, so you're not going to be bombarded with notifications. You'll just be know that we're doing this again next week.
Who do you think you are? I am. Oh.
Clamped easy. Edmonds or J.D. McKissick? That's going to be Edmonds.
Edmonds for sure.
Get J.D. McKissick out of here. Don't make him a thing. He's the Jacoby Meyer of the running backs.
Did you answer the who do you think you are? I am player of the week for yourself?
I'm terrible at these. I said Antonio Brown last week.
Yeah, that's true. That was bad.
It was bad. I'm going to go with the Rams defense.
I don't know if that's even an option.
It is.
We need the rules.
So Russell Wilson, whoever you think you are, we are.
All right. Well, since you don't really believe in him, I'm going to go Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin is going to show me. Why don't you pick Travis Fulgham? Travis Fulgham is the opposite of this. Whoever you think you are, he's not. As for games, the Rams-Seattle game will be a good one as well.
Yeah.
A lot of good games in the later window. The early window is kind of trash.
Well, the Packers and Jaguars should be good.
No, it shouldn't. That should be a very windy, boring game. The only good game is the Tampa-Carolina game. And I guess that's the only one I see. Nobody wants to
have a bunch of zombies for Tampa.
What's that?
You're going to have a bunch of zombies playing for Tampa.
Zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, because they didn't get any sleep. Excellent show today. All class, enjoy the day. Thank you so much, Randy Savage. You enjoy the day and best luck on your fantasy teams. We have anything left to talk about, Matt? No, we do not.
No.
So we'll probably end it on that, as questions will probably keep rolling in. We made it. Don't think his score matters.
No.
He's well out of it. So much for all the hype. Can't hit the fairway. Matt, anything to say to the viewers before we check out and get ready to watch some football today?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you're doing both.
That's it.